The Velith had ruled the stars for 12,000 years. Their empire covered 900 worlds. Their ships were the fastest. Their weapons were the deadliest. And their method was simple. Find new species before they become dangerous. Study them, and destroy them, if needed. They had done this many times. They were very good at it. When their sensors found radio signals coming from a small yellow star, they were not worried. The signals were weak and primitive. The species called themselves humans. They had barely left their home planet. They had small colonies on a few moons and nearby planets. Nothing important, nothing dangerous. Commander Vethral received his orders from the High Council. Go to the human system. Take one specimen. Study it. Learn everything about this species. Standard procedure. Easy work. His ship was called the Endless Truth. It was a collection vessel, built for capturing specimens from primitive worlds. It had done this work for 300 years. The crew was experienced. They had captured specimens from 40 different species. None had ever caused problems. The ship entered the human system quietly. They avoided the main planet, the one the humans called Earth. Too many eyes there. Instead, they went to the outer planets, where human presence was thin. They found their target near the giant planet with the rings. A small mining station, floating alone in the dark. Only 12 humans worked there. The Velith watched for 3 days, learning their routines, finding the best moment to strike. They chose a female. She worked alone in a small laboratory, studying rocks from the nearby moons. Her name was Elena Vasquez. She was 34 years old. A scientist. The capture was quick and clean. A flash of light, a moment of confusion, and Elena Vasquez was aboard the Endless Truth. The other humans on the station did not even know she was gone until hours later. Commander Vethral looked at his new specimen through the glass of her cell. She was small, like all humans. Soft skin, no natural weapons, no armor, 2 eyes, 2 arms, 2 legs, fragile, weak. He had seen many species, and this one seemed particularly unimpressive. He expected her to scream. He expected her to cry. He expected her to beat her small fists against the walls of her cell until she exhausted herself. This was normal. All specimens did this. Elena Vasquez did not scream. She did not cry. She sat in the corner of her cell and watched her captors with calm, steady eyes. She studied them the same way they studied her. This was strange. But Commander Vethral was not worried. Different species reacted differently at first. The fear would come later, during the examinations. The examinations began the next day. The Velith doctors poked and prodded. They took samples of her blood, her hair, her skin. They scanned her brain. They tested her reflexes. They measured everything that could be measured. Elena did not fight them. She cooperated. She answered their questions. But she also asked questions of her own. What was this device? How did that machine work? Where did they come from? How long had they traveled? The doctors found this amusing at first. A primitive asking questions about advanced technology. Like a child asking how the stars were made, they answered some of her questions, enjoying the feeling of superiority. They did not notice that Elena remembered everything they said. They did not notice that she was learning. Days passed. Elena learned to understand their language. This should have taken months or years. She did it in 11 days. The Velith researchers were surprised. They made notes about human learning ability. Perhaps this species was more intelligent than they first thought, but intelligence did not matter. Many species were intelligent. Intelligence alone had never saved anyone from the Velith. On the 15th day, something changed. Commander Vethral came to Elena's cell personally. He wanted to see this strange specimen who learned so quickly. He stood before the glass and looked at her with his 4 cold eyes. "You are calm," he said. His voice was like rocks grinding together. Other specimens scream. They beg. They break. You do not. Why? Elena stood up and walked to the glass. She was so small compared to him. Her head barely reached his chest. But she did not look afraid. "Can I ask you a question first?" she said. Vethral was amused. "Ask. How much do you know about humans? About our history?" The commander made a sound that might have been a laugh. "We know enough. You are young species. You fight among yourselves. You have primitive technology. You are no threat to anyone." Elena smiled. It was a strange smile. Not happy, not sad. Something else. "You are right that we fight among yourselves," she said. "We have been fighting since before we could write. We fought with sticks and stones, then with swords and arrows, then with guns and bombs. We have never stopped fighting, not once in 10,000 years. This is weakness," Vethral said. "A species that fights itself cannot fight others. That is what you think," Elena said. "But you are wrong. All that fighting taught us something. It taught us how to win. It taught us how to survive. It taught us that giving up is never an option." She put her hand on the glass. Her eyes never left his. "And it taught us something else. Something more important." "What?" "It taught us to protect our own, no matter the cost, no matter the enemy. When someone takes one of us, we come for them. Always. Without fail. Without mercy." Commander Vethral felt something strange. A cold feeling in his stomach. He had captured specimens from 40 species. None had ever spoken to him like this. None had ever looked at him with such certainty. "You are one small creature," he said. "Your people do not even know where you are. They cannot find you. They cannot save you." Elena's smile grew wider. "That is where you are wrong, Commander. You made a mistake when you took me. A very big mistake." "What mistake?" "When your ship came out of faster-than-light travel, it created an energy signature. When you grabbed me, my emergency beacon activated. It sent a signal home instantly, using quantum entanglement. My people know exactly where I am. They have known since the moment you took me." Vethral's 4 eyes blinked. "Impossible. Your species does not have such technology." "Are you sure?" Elena asked. "Are you completely sure? How much do you really know about us?" For the first time in 300 years of service, Commander Vethral felt something he had not felt since he was young. He felt doubt. "Even if this is true," he said slowly, "what can your people do? We are far from your system. You have no ships that can reach us. You have no weapons that can hurt us." Elena stepped back from the glass. She returned to her corner and sat down. She was still smiling. "You took me because you thought we were weak," she said. "You thought we were primitive. You thought we were no threat. But you never asked the most important question." "What question?" Elena looked at him with eyes that held no fear. "Only patience. Only certainty. You never asked why a species that has been fighting for 10,000 years would suddenly stop. You never asked what we have been building in secret. You never asked what we have been preparing for." She leaned back against the wall and closed her eyes. "You will find out soon. And Commander, when my people come, remember that I gave you a chance. I am giving you this warning because I am a scientist, not a soldier. The soldiers will not be so kind." Commander Vethral left the cell without another word. He walked to the bridge of his ship. He sat in his command chair. He looked at the stars, and for the first time in his long life, he was afraid. The signal reached Earth in less than 1 second. It traveled through a dimension that the Velith did not know existed. It carried a simple message: "Emergency beacon activated. Location attached. Dr. Elena Vasquez." The message arrived at a building that did not officially exist. It was built deep under a mountain in the middle of a desert. No maps showed it. No records mentioned it. But inside this building, 200 people worked every day, waiting for exactly this kind of message. Captain Sarah Chen was drinking coffee when the alarm started. She spilled it on her uniform. She did not care. She was already running to the command center. "Talk to me," she said as she burst through the door. "Emergency beacon, ma'am. One of ours. Dr. Elena Vasquez, stationed at Jupiter Mining Station 7. Mining accident?" "No, ma'am." The technician's face was pale. "The beacon includes trajectory data. Whatever took her, it came from outside the solar system. It has left our system, heading toward the constellation, Lyra." Captain Chen stood very still. This was the moment they had trained for. The moment they had feared. The moment they had prepared for since the day they found the ruins on Mars. 20 years ago, human explorers had found something on Mars. Old buildings, ancient technology, and warnings. The ruins told a story of a species that had lived there millions of years ago. They had reached for the stars, and something had destroyed them. The warnings were clear. You are not alone in the universe, and not everything out there is friendly. Humanity had kept this secret. Only a few thousand people knew the truth. But those people had been busy. Very busy. "Contact the Council," Captain Chen said. "Tell them it has begun." The United Earth Council met within the hour. 12 people sat around a table. They represented every major nation on Earth. They had been preparing for this day for 2 decades. Admiral James Okonkwo sat at the head of the table. He was 60 years old, with gray hair and eyes that had seen too much. He had commanded the secret fleet for 15 years. He had hoped he would never have to use it. "We have confirmed the signal," he said. "Dr. Vasquez has been taken by an unknown alien species. They are heading away from Earth at faster than light speed. We have their trajectory. Can we follow them?" asked Director Ming, the Chinese representative. "Yes. Our ships can match their speed. We can reach them in approximately 3 weeks. How many ships do we have?" asked Prime Minister Williams of Britain. Admiral Okonkwo pressed a button. A hologram appeared above the table. It showed ships, many ships, hidden in asteroid belts, buried under the surface of moons, floating in the dark spaces between planets. 47 combat vessels, 200,000 soldiers. Enough weapons to crack a planet. The room was silent. They had all known the fleet existed, but seeing it was different. This was the greatest military force humanity had ever built, created in total secrecy over 20 years. "Do we know anything about this species?" asked President Okafor of Nigeria. "Only what the beacon recorded. Their ship is large. Their technology is advanced, but not impossibly advanced. We can fight them." "One woman?" said Minister Petrov of Russia. "We are going to start a war for one woman?" Admiral Okonkwo looked at him with hard eyes. "If we do not go for one, we will not go for any. If we let them take our people without response, we are telling the universe that humans are prey. We are telling them we are weak. We are telling them they can do whatever they want to us." He stood up and put his hands on the table. "I have read the Mars ruins. I know what happened to the species that built them. They were careful. They were peaceful. They tried to hide. It did not save them. Something found them anyway. Something took them. Something destroyed them." He looked at each person around the table. "We will not be like them. We will not hide. We will not wait for them to come for us. They took one of our people. We are going to get her back. And we are going to teach whoever took her that humans are not to be touched." The vote was unanimous. 3 days later, the fleet launched. Ships came out of hiding places all across the solar system. They gathered near Mars, forming into battle groups. Soldiers who had trained in secret for years finally learned their true purpose. Admiral Okonkwo stood on the bridge of his flagship, the UES Perseverance. It was the largest ship humanity had ever built, a city in space, carrying 10,000 people, and enough firepower to destroy a small moon. "All ships report ready." "Admiral," said his first officer. Okonkwo looked at the stars. Somewhere out there, Elena Vasquez was waiting. She had trusted them. She had activated her beacon because she believed her people would come. He would not let her down. "Send a message to all ships," he said. "Tell them, we go to bring our people home. We go to show the universe who we are. We go to make them remember our name." He took a deep breath. "All ships, engage jump drives. Take us to war." 47 ships disappeared in flashes of light. They tore holes in space itself, jumping through dimensions that human scientists had only discovered 15 years ago. They moved faster than light, faster than thought, racing toward an enemy they had never met. In 3 weeks, they would arrive in the Velith home system. In 3 weeks, the universe would learn that humanity was not prey. Meanwhile, on the Endless Truth, Commander Vethral watched his prisoner with growing unease. She was not afraid. She should have been afraid. Everyone was afraid. "Your people cannot come," he told her. "It is impossible." Elena just smiled. "You keep saying that word. I do not think you know what it means." "What word?" "Impossible." She looked at the ceiling of her cell. "Humans hear that word and we think it is a challenge. We went to our moon when everyone said it was impossible. We cured diseases that everyone said were impossible to cure. We built machines that everyone said were impossible to build." She looked at him. "You said it is impossible for my people to come. I think you are about to learn a very hard lesson about what humans consider impossible." Commander Vethral reported to the High Council that night. He told them about the humans' strange confidence. He told them about her claims of a signal, a beacon, a fleet. The High Council laughed. Humans? A fleet? Impossible. The Velith had watched this species for years. They had no such technology. They were primitives, fighting over their single planet. Nothing to worry about. Commander Vethral wanted to believe them. He wanted to believe that everything was fine, that this was just another collection mission, that the human was lying. But he remembered her eyes. He remembered her smile. And deep inside, in a place he did not want to look, he knew the truth. She was not lying. She was not afraid. And something was coming. The Velith had ruled the stars for 12,000 years. They had never been challenged. They had never been afraid. They believed they were the masters of the universe. They were about to discover how wrong they were. In the space between stars, 47 human ships raced through the darkness. Inside them, soldiers checked their weapons, pilots ran simulations, and commanders planned their attack. They were coming. Nothing could stop them. Nothing would stop them. They were human. And humans do not abandon their own. The Velith home system had 7 planets. The 4th planet, Velith Prime, was the heart of their empire. 12 billion Velith lived there. The High Council ruled from a palace that had stood for 8,000 years. No enemy had ever reached this place. No enemy had ever tried. On the 19th day after Elena's capture, the Velith perimeter sensors detected something strange. Energy signatures at the edge of the system. Many energy signatures. Coming in fast. "What is it?" asked High Commander Zethral, the supreme military leader of the hegemony. He was the older brother of the commander who had captured Elena. He was also much more experienced. "Unknown, High Commander. The signatures match no known species." "Wait." The sensor officer's voice trembled. "They are coming out of jump space. 40, no, 47 vessels. They are." He stopped. His 4 eyes went wide. "They are human." For 3 seconds, no one spoke. This was impossible. Humans did not have jump drives. Humans did not have warships. Humans were primitives. Everyone knew this. Everyone was sure of this. But the sensors did not lie. 47 ships hung at the edge of the Velith system. They were not hiding. They were not running. They were waiting. A signal came through. Human language, translated by automatic systems. "This is Admiral James Okonkwo of the United Earth Fleet. You have taken one of our people. Her name is Elena Vasquez. You will return her immediately, and without harm. You have 1 hour to respond. If she is not returned, we will come and get her, and we will be very unhappy." High Commander Zethral stared at the message for a long moment. Then he laughed. 47 ships? Against the Velith hegemony? We have 3,000 warships in this system alone. These creatures are mad. He sent his response. "Primitive creatures, you are in Velith space. Your demands mean nothing. Surrender your ships, and your lives may be spared. You have 1 hour." The human response came quickly. It was only 2 words. "Come get them." High Commander Zethral smiled. He enjoyed this. These humans had courage, he admitted. Stupid courage, but courage nonetheless. He would destroy them quickly and add their ships to his collection. "Send the 3rd fleet," he ordered. 300 ships should be enough. Destroy them all. The 3rd fleet moved toward the human position. 300 Velith warships, each one larger than anything humanity had built before. They were confident. They were experienced. They had crushed 100 species before. They were not prepared for what happened next. The human ships did not wait. They did not try to run. They charged directly at the Velith fleet, accelerating to speeds that should have been impossible. "They are attacking?" The 3rd fleet commander was confused. "Do they not understand numbers?" He understood a moment later. When the first human missiles hit his lead ships, the weapons were strange. They did not explode on contact. They went through the Velith shields like the shields were not there. They punched through armor. They found reactors and engines and command centers. In the first 60 seconds, the humans destroyed 40 Velith ships. The 3rd fleet commander screamed orders. "Form defensive positions. Concentrate fire. Target their biggest ships." But the humans did not fight like other species. They did not stay in formation. They split apart, each ship moving independently, attacking from different angles, never staying still. They took damage and kept fighting. They lost ships and did not retreat. And they were fast, so fast. Their ships danced around Velith weapons, always moving, always attacking, never giving the Velith a clear target. The battle lasted 2 hours. When it ended, the 3rd fleet was gone. 267 Velith ships destroyed. The remaining 33 were crippled, floating dead in space. The humans had lost 9 ships. On Velith Prime, High Commander Zethral watched the reports come in. He could not believe what he was seeing. This was impossible. Impossible. He sent more ships. 500 this time. Then 1,000. The humans destroyed them all. They took losses. Yes, they lost 22 ships in total, but they killed everything the Velith sent against them, and then they started moving toward Velith Prime. On the Endless Truth, Commander Vethral watched the battle through his ship's sensors. His hands were shaking. The human woman had been right. About everything. He went to her cell. She was sitting calmly, listening to the distant sounds of combat. "Your people," he said. His voice was hollow. "They are winning." "Yes," Elena said. "I told you they would come. We have sent 2,000 ships against them. They have destroyed them all." "Yes. How? How is this possible? You are primitives." Elena stood up and walked to the glass. "Do you want to know the secret? The real secret of why humans are dangerous?" Vethral nodded. He needed to understand. He needed to know how everything had gone so wrong. "It is not our ships," Elena said. "It is not our weapons. It is not even our technology. Other species have those things. Other species can build them. Then what? It is how we think. You see, humans spent our entire history fighting each other. We never stopped. Not for one single day in 10,000 years. While other species were building empires or exploring peacefully, we were killing each other. Over land, over resources, over ideas, over nothing at all." She put her hand on the glass. "All that fighting taught us something. It taught us to never give up. It taught us to win at any cost. It taught us that there is always a way to win. You just have to find it. But we are stronger than you. We have more ships, more soldiers, more everything." Elena smiled. "Yes, and we do not care. Humans do not surrender just because the enemy is stronger. We fight harder. We find weaknesses. We sacrifice pieces to win the game." She pointed toward the sounds of battle. "Your ships fight to survive. Our ships fight to win. That is the difference. Your soldiers retreat when the battle turns against them. Our soldiers advance. Your commanders try to protect their forces. Our commanders send their forces to die if it means victory. That is insanity." "No," Elena said. "That is humanity." The battle for Velith Prime began 6 hours later. The humans had only 15 ships left. But those 15 ships attacked the most defended planet in the hegemony like they had 1,000. The Velith had 2,000 ships defending their homeworld. They had orbital stations. They had planetary shields. They had weapons that could crack moons. It did not matter. The humans hit the orbital stations first. They rammed ships into the shield generators. They sent soldiers in small pods to board and capture key positions. They fought in space and on the stations and in the very corridors of Velith command centers. And everywhere they went, they won. On the 12th hour of the battle, a human boarding team reached the Endless Truth. They cut through the hull. They killed the guards. They reached Elena's cell in 15 minutes. The Marine sergeant who opened her cell was a young woman with blood on her armor and fire in her eyes. "Dr. Vasquez, I'm Sergeant Rodriguez. We're here to take you home." Elena felt tears on her face. She had believed. She had trusted. And they had come. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you, ma'am. You gave us the best intelligence we've ever had. Everything you learned about them, everything you observed, it helped us win." Commander Vethral watched from a corner, surrounded by human soldiers. He was a prisoner now. Everything had changed in just hours. Elena walked over to him. She looked at him with those calm eyes that had never shown fear. "I gave you a chance," she said. "I warned you. You should have listened. What will happen to us?" Vethral asked. "I do not know. That is for others to decide. But I will tell them that you treated me well, that you did not torture me, that you could have been cruel, but you chose not to be." She turned and walked toward the human soldiers. That has to count for something. She left him there, surrounded by the ruins of everything he had believed. The Velith were not masters of the universe. They were not even close. Humanity was here. And everything had changed. The Battle of Velith Prime was only the beginning. Elena returned to Earth a hero. Her face was on every screen, her name in every headline. The woman who did not break. The woman who brought down an empire. But she knew the truth. The war was far from over. The Velith hegemony ruled 900 worlds. Velith Prime was just the capital. Across the galaxy, thousands of Velith ships still flew. Millions of Velith soldiers still fought, and they were angry, very angry. Admiral Okonkwo stood before the United Earth Council. His uniform was torn. He had not slept in days, but his voice was strong. "We have won the first battle," he said, "but we have started a war. The Velith will not forgive this. They will not forget. They will come for us with everything they have." "Then what do we do?" asked President Okafor. "We do what humans have always done. We fight, we build, we grow, and we win." The war lasted 12 years. In the first year, the Velith counterattacked. They sent fleets from every corner of their empire. They attacked human colonies. They bombed cities. They killed millions. They wanted revenge, and they did not care about the cost. But humans were ready. The secret fleet was not their only weapon. Earth had been building for 20 years. Factories hidden on moons and asteroids. Training camps buried under mountains. Resources gathered from across the solar system. When the Velith came, humanity was waiting. The battles were brutal. Humans died by the thousands, then by the millions. Entire planets were burned. Ships were destroyed so completely that nothing was left but dust. But humanity did not break. They did not surrender. They did not even slow down. And they learned something important. They were not alone in hating the Velith. The hegemony had ruled many species. The Velith were masters, and everyone else was servants. For thousands of years, other species had lived under Velith control. They worked in Velith factories. They fought in Velith armies. They died for Velith glory. They had never had a choice. Until now. In the second year of the war, a species called the Korthon reached out to humanity. They were tall and thin, with skin like blue glass. They had been Velith servants for 3,000 years. "We have watched you fight," said their leader, a female named Vora. "We have never seen anyone stand against the Velith like this. We want to help." Admiral Okonkwo looked at her with careful eyes. "Why? What do you want in return?" "Freedom. Only freedom. We want to rule ourselves. We want our children to grow up without Velith masters. We want to be free. If you help us, the Velith will punish your people. They will kill millions." Vora stood tall. "They have been killing us for 3,000 years. At least now our deaths will mean something." The Korthon joined the human alliance. Then the Belrics, a species of warriors who had been forced to fight in Velith armies. Then the Nimari, scientists who had built Velith technology while dreaming of freedom. By the 5th year of the war, humanity was not fighting alone. A dozen species had joined them. More came every month. Elena Vasquez became an ambassador. She traveled to world after world, speaking to species who had suffered under Velith rule. She told them about humanity. She told them about hope. She told them that freedom was possible. "Humans fight for each other," she told them. "We came across the galaxy to save one person. Me. One scientist. One woman. Imagine what we will do for an entire species." They believed her. They joined her. The Velith could not understand what was happening. For 12,000 years, they had ruled through fear. No one had ever fought back. No one had ever dared. Now their empire was burning. Their servants were rising up. Their armies were losing. In the 7th year, the human alliance captured its 100th Velith world. In the 8th year, they cut the empire in half. In the 10th year, the Velith controlled only a fraction of what they once had. But the Velith did not surrender. They fought harder. They became more cruel. They destroyed entire planets rather than let them fall to the alliance. They killed their own servants when they suspected disloyalty. Their cruelty only made more species join the alliance. Admiral Okonkwo led the war from his flagship, now called the UES Elena Vasquez. He was old now, his hair white, his face lined with exhaustion, but his eyes were still sharp. His mind was still fast. He knew that the war would end soon. One way or another. "The Velith are gathering their remaining forces," his intelligence officer reported. "Every ship they have left, every soldier. They are bringing them all to their original homeworld. Old Velith. How many?" "Approximately 8,000 ships. 30 million soldiers." Okonkwo nodded slowly. "They want a final battle. One last chance to destroy us. Sir, they still outnumber us. Our combined fleet is only 3,000 ships." "Well, I know." The old admiral looked at the star map. "But we have something they do not have." "What, sir?" "We have nothing to lose. They are fighting to save their empire. We are fighting for freedom. There is a difference. He pressed a button and spoke to the entire fleet. All ships. This is Admiral Okonkwo. The enemy is gathering for one final stand. They believe numbers will save them. They believe fear will break us. They are wrong. He paused, choosing his words carefully. 12 years ago, they took one of our people. They thought we would do nothing. They thought we were weak. They learned how wrong they were. Now they have learned many more lessons. They have learned that we do not surrender. They have learned that we do not break. They have learned that when you stand against humanity, you stand against something you cannot defeat. Tomorrow, we end this. Tomorrow, we free the galaxy. Tomorrow, we show the universe what happens when you capture a human. All ships, set course for Old Veleth. It is time to finish what we started. 3,000 Alliance ships jumped into hyperspace. On board those ships, humans and Korthon and Belrix and Namari and a dozen other species checked their weapons and said their prayers. They were outnumbered. They had always been outnumbered. It had never mattered before. It would not matter now. Elena Vasquez watched the fleet depart from an observation station near Earth. She was too important to risk in battle now. She was the face of the Alliance, the symbol of hope for 100 species. But in her heart, she was still that scientist in a cell, looking at her captors with calm eyes, waiting for her people to come. They had come. They had kept coming. And tomorrow, they would finish the job. She looked at the stars and smiled. Make them remember, she whispered. Make them remember what happens when you touch one of us. In the darkness between stars, 3,000 ships raced toward destiny. Behind them, 100 free worlds waited and hoped. The war was almost over. The universe was about to change forever. And it had all started with one woman who refused to be afraid. The final battle lasted 3 days. 8,000 Veleth ships against 3,000 Alliance vessels. The Veleth fought with the desperation of a dying empire. They threw everything they had at the Alliance fleet. They sacrificed ships by the hundreds. They used weapons they had kept secret for thousands of years. It was not enough. The Alliance ships fought together in perfect coordination. Humans and Korthan and Belrix and Nemori and all the others moved as one. When one species was weak, another was strong. When one ship fell, 2 more took its place. And humanity was at the center of it all. Human commanders led the attacks. Human soldiers boarded Veleth ships. Human pilots flew impossible missions through fields of fire and death. On the second day, the Veleth High Command tried to surrender. Admiral Okonkwo refused. No, he said. Not to me. You surrender to everyone. Every species you conquered. Every world you burned. Every person you enslaved. You surrender to all of them. Or you surrender to no one. The Veleth High Commander looked at him with hatred. You are not conquerors. You are barbarians. No, Okonkwo said. We are liberators. There is a difference. You will learn it. On the third day, the last Veleth flagship fell. The remaining ships surrendered. The war was over. Admiral Okonkwo stood on the bridge of his ship, looking at the wreckage of the greatest empire the galaxy had ever known. He felt tired. So tired. But also something else. He felt hope. A message came from Earth. From Elena Vasquez. Admiral, you did it. You actually did it. We did it, he corrected her. All of us. Every species that fought. Every person who believed. What happens now? Okonkwo looked at the stars. So many stars. So many worlds. So many people waiting to see what humanity would do with its victory. Now comes the hard part, he said. Winning the war was easy. Building the peace. That will be the real challenge. 20 years passed. The Veleth hegemony was gone, dissolved by the Alliance after the war. But the Veleth people remained. 12 billion of them on their homeworld. Billions more scattered across former Empire space. Some in the Alliance wanted revenge. They wanted to do to the Veleth what the Veleth had done to others. They wanted punishment. They wanted blood. Humanity said no. Elena Vasquez led the argument. She was old now, her hair gray, her face lined with years. But her voice was still strong. Her eyes still held that calm certainty that had scared Commander Vethral all those years ago. If we destroy them, we become them, she told the Alliance Council. If we enslave them, we prove that power is all that matters. We will have won the war and lost our souls. They killed millions of our people, said the Belrix representative. Yes, and killing millions of their people will not bring ours back. It will only create more pain, more anger, more hate. The cycle will continue forever. Then what do you suggest? Elena looked at the council. Representatives from 300 species, gathered in a chamber that had once been the Veleth Emperor's throne room. We give them what they never gave anyone else. We give them a choice. They can join us as equals, living under the same laws as everyone else, or they can stay on their worlds and govern themselves, as long as they do not harm others. Why would we do this? After everything they did? Because it is right. Because it is what we should have wanted for ourselves. Because the measure of a civilization is not how it treats its friends, but how it treats its enemies. The vote was close. But in the end, the Alliance chose mercy. The Veleth were not destroyed. They were not enslaved. They were given the same rights as every other species in the new Galactic Federation. Their military was disbanded. Their weapons were taken, but their people were free. Some Veleth hated this. They called it weakness. They plotted revenge. But most, slowly, began to change. They had lived with hate for so long. Now they learned to live without it. 20 years after the war, Elena Vasquez stood before the Galactic Assembly as humanity's representative. She was one of the most famous people in the galaxy. The woman who refused to break, the symbol of hope. She looked at the assembly. 300 species, thousands of representatives, all gathered in peace, working together for the good of all. 32 years ago, she said, I was alone in a cell on a Veleth ship. I was scared. I was far from home. I did not know if I would ever see my family again. She paused, remembering. But I was not without hope. Because I knew something about my people. I knew that they would come for me. No matter how far, no matter how dangerous, no matter what it cost, they would come. She looked at the Veleth representatives. They sat quietly, listening. Among them was a young Veleth who had been born after the war, raised in the new order of peace and cooperation. They did come. They came with ships and weapons and soldiers. They fought a war that lasted 12 years. They freed 100 species. They changed the galaxy forever. But that is not the important part. The important part is what they did after they won. She smiled softly. They did not destroy their enemies. They did not become conquerors. They built something better. They created a federation where every species is equal, where everyone has a voice, where the strong protect the weak instead of crushing them. This is what humanity offers the galaxy. Not just our ships, not just our weapons, but our belief that things can be better, our faith that people can change, our determination to build a future worth living in. She raised her hand toward the assembly. We came for our own. We stayed for everyone. And as long as humanity exists, as long as we have breath in our bodies and fire in our hearts, we will keep fighting for that future. For all of us. Together, the assembly stood and applauded. Humans and Korthan and Belrix and Nemari, and even Veleth, all standing together, all believing in something greater than themselves. Outside the assembly hall, on a plaza that had once displayed the trophies of Veleth conquest, a new monument stood. It was simple, a human figure, hand extended in greeting. The inscription read, "We came for our own. We stayed for everyone." Children from a dozen species played around the monument. Human children and Veleth children and Korthan children, all playing together, all laughing together. They did not remember the war. They only knew the peace that came after. Elena watched them from a window. She was old. She was tired. But she was happy. Commander Vethral had asked her once why humans fought so hard for one person. She had not known how to answer then. Now she did. Because every person matters. Because no one should be left behind. Because the smallest act of courage can change everything. The Veleth had captured a human, thinking they were taking a specimen for study. They had actually taken a spark that would burn down their empire and light up the galaxy. They had learned a lesson that the universe would never forget. Never underestimate humanity. Never touch what is ours. And never, ever think that we will give up. Because we will not. We never do. That is who we are. That is what it means to be human. The end.